to meet with us and interview for this position. Kind of how the process will go today is Mike, our consultant, will be asking the questions. We'll be taking some notes. If we have any follow-up questions, we'll ask those, but we'll just kind of move through the process and then kind of wrap it up at the end. So,
Okay.
all right.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Mike, ready when you are.
All right, so we're gonna be breaking these up into individual questions, into subgroups. So the first question group is budget. Okay, so the first question is fiscal management expertise is critical to the function of this role. What are your skills in the area and what techniques have you followed to manage municipal funds effectively?
Well, I've been in city government in some shape or form for 22 years. 20 with the city of Slayton and 4 with a smaller city, the city of Iona, which is about 125 people, give or take, on any given day. At Iona, I was in charge of every single thing, fiscal management, budget, all of that. They only had one other part-time water sewer employee on staff, and then some occasional summer, mowing type of things. So the full budget scope, when I started there, they literally had no money. So they had spent it all down on projects without any regard to having a backup for anything. I resigned from that position at the end of December, so 4.5 months ago, 5 months ago. Because we were moving up here and doing some things, and we went to Texas for the winter, so I kind of ran away for a little bit from the snow. But when I left there, we were up close to the $300,000 mark, so they got their cushion back a little bit. With the city of Slayton, we used the Cassell program, which I understand is what you guys are moving to. So all of the budget and finance stuff was done through that programming, which was one of my main duties there. I was involved annually on the budget process and all of the meetings, and making sure that the budgets were being followed, ordering those kind of things, prioritizing which projects needed to be, have money spent on them. Again, if there was something that, fell by the wayside and we could move that to a different year because something came up, I was involved in that. I'm the, if there's a penny missing, I will find it person. So I don't believe in wasting money. I'm very fiscally responsible, I believe. So, was there another part to that question? Did I miss it? No? Okay.
Any follow-ups? Hearing none, go ahead, Mike.
All right, under conflict resolution is the next heading. Can you tell us about a time when you had to navigate a division in your board over an issue? And what was the issue and what was your role? And did you build consensus or did you just stay the heck out of the way?
They maybe would have wanted me to stay the heck out of the way. It all depends. If I have direct knowledge on something, I'm the kind of person that I want to be straightforward and I want to share that knowledge. I in no way, shape, or form mean to judge anybody or tell them what they have to do. I'm just simply, this is what statute says. This is what maybe the League of Minnesota City recommends, these type of things that as the administrator, that in my opinion is the position, is not to have a personal opinion about everything. It's to do all the background information and present it to you guys so that you can make an informed decision on it. There were some issues where, specifically one time, the council, a couple of council members wanted to spend down some money on a project, water tower rehab type of project, willing to just empty the budget on it because it was perceived as an emergency. We did some research, found some other companies who could come in and give us, knowledgeable answers and alternative solutions to that. The other half of the council understood that, we're not really willing to expend this money on this project right now if we have some other options. The way it ended up was the engineering firm that came in and worked with me, they came up with a solution where we could actually just do a rehab of the medium at the tower, and that was only a $30,000 outlay instead of the almost $200,000. And that saved them another 7 years for the project to be able to save up some money to actually pay for it in the future, which was what we ended up doing with the budget was penciling in a certain amount so that if and when it happened in 7 years, we had the money available and didn't have to panic over it.
Follow-ups to that?
All right, next question under community involvement is, can you give an example of how you make your direct reports feel a sense of inclusion, belonging, and on a daily basis?
I am a big proponent of, you'll probably, well, if I were to be offered the position, you'll hear me say it all the time. This is what you see is what you get. I am straightforward. I believe that the employees are here because they're good at their jobs. They wouldn't be here if they weren't good at their jobs. They have direct knowledge. Their opinions are valuable. As an admin, I believe that everybody who works here is part of the decision-making process. I don't want to be the person who has made this decision without taking into account everybody else's opinions, because they have different views of things. You know, you might be looking at something this way and they're over here going, oh, did you see that happened over here? I want to know that. I need to know that. I'm very adaptable, I feel like. I'm not set in my ways. If somebody's got a better idea, I am more than willing to listen to it, and I would prefer to listen to it, as a matter of fact. I believe in a team approach. You know what? Pop your head in the door and say, hey, did you notice this was going on? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. And I'll do the same with them. You know, this is what I'm seeing. Hasn't been brought to your attention yet.
Follow-ups?
Okay, what do you see as the most challenging aspect of working with a diverse group of people who may be as well seasonal residents? And what steps have you taken to meet this challenge?
We in my former city actually did a generational study and applied for a grant with the state, which we did not get in outstate Minnesota, as they called us. But we got a lot of people who are coming from different communities who will come here to Breezy, and then yet you've got the people who were born and raised here. You got the people who've been only maybe here for 10 years, but there's investment in the community. Even those people who are coming from the metro area, let's say just for seasonal or vacation purposes, still want it to be a nice place. I believe there's a lot of opportunity for generational co-op, like even specifically with summer things. We implemented a few things in my other town with the senior center, where after school kids could come and work with these adults at the senior center. And, you know, at some point the seniors they don't have a lot of interaction with the kids, and they start to get a little nervous about, oh, I'm seeing these kids, I don't know how to act, and the kids don't know how to treat older people either. And it was a really good opportunity for them to just see that we're all still the same people. We're all still just want to meet other people, do things together, and they learned a lot from each other. It was very beneficial, and I you know, honestly see a lot of that opportunity for a place like Breezy with the people coming in and out, and the, you know, the opportunity to start some programs maybe that you can get these generational groups together and work together. And it turns out it's almost free because they just want to hang out and do things.
Follow-ups? All right, Mike, continue on.
Economic development. Can you discuss your experience with grant writing and managing the grant application process or securing alternate funding sources?
We use the Regional Development Commission quite a bit for our grant writing opportunities. In my previous city, they did a great job. There were opportunities for me to become involved during the research and data, that kind of thing, and helping them to fill out those programs. With my small city, I actually had the opportunity to write some grant agreements, and we actually received 2 grants specifically to help pay for that water tower project that I mentioned earlier. There are just so many opportunities to get help with your grant writing. It seems like it's just this overwhelming job, but as long as you meet all of the checklist, it really all kind of falls into place. So there's a lot of opportunities. We had a safety grant that I wrote up, and we got some money from OSHA for some safety equipment. Those opportunities are out there for actually every department, and they're fairly easy to get. You can get them every couple of years. They do a rotating grant. So.
Okay. Follow-ups by anybody? Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, under HR. The city has experienced leaders the city has experienced leadership changes in the last several months and is dedicated to establishing a stable and healthy work environment. How would you approach promoting and or collaborating culture and the healthy organizational culture?
Like I said, I think every employee here, including the council members, has valuable input to every single decision there is. Some things might not apply to a certain department, but again, if somebody in the police department notices something that Public Works is on the agenda for, I would prefer that they speak up and venture out with their opinion just the same as any other department, because again, we all see little minute things that are slightly different from everybody else, and you're not gonna get the best effort for your buck if everybody's not speaking up. I'm not one to be offended if somebody says, hey, I think you're doing something wrong, because I'd rather you tell me than to find out after the project is finished that, well, you screwed that one up. I mean, we all need to work together. It's taxpayer dollars. It's not my money, it's not your money, it's the taxpayers, and ultimately we have to answer to them. I feel like there was something else in that I missed.
Just how do you approach promoting and collaborating culture and a healthy organizational culture?
Like I said, everybody's opinion matters. I'm very open door, pop in, talk to me if you see something that needs to be addressed. Like I said, no one person can take control of a community this size and notice every single thing. You need everybody as a team to make it all work.
Follow-up?
Project management. Tell us about your experience in developing a community strategic plan with your elected officials for a 5-10-year community roadmap and the vision for the future.
I've actually been involved in that a couple of different times. The whole process actually I thought was very interesting, but I'm a checklist rules. I might spend a little more money on Post-it notes than the normal person, but the planning stage, I was the planning and zoning administrator for my city for over 12 years, and I'm really interested in that kind of thing also. The actual strategic planning is a process that needs to be addressed every year, but generally you adopt one that runs 5 to 10 years out or so. It takes some work sessions with the employees, maybe even a couple of town meetings, like, what are the residents seeing that we're lacking here? Or there is anything that they think we need feasible to add to our budget? If it is it something we need to do in 3 years, 5 years? Can it wait 10? Those kind of things. But really, it's a group effort of, we need to figure out what is necessary to make our community stronger and to retain people and get more people to actually move here, if that's what you want.
Follow-up? Right, Mike, go ahead.
Okay, under working relationships is the next subsection. What experience do you have in coordinating the development, financing, and implementing of capital projects and improvements within your organization and with other governmental agencies?
I worked with a lot of different governmental agencies, USDA, the RDC, the Housing Partnerships, OSHA, on, like I said, different grant writing opportunities, different studies. We, in my community, did an active and walkability study there. Went through and basically did a whole project scope of, do we have sidewalks? Is there some place that isn't accessible, handicap accessible? Can you walk there? Do you have to drive there? If this is a park for kids, can they get there safely? Where all of those kinds of issues. There was another part to that.
So what experience do you have in coordinating, developing, financing, and implementing of capital projects and improvements within the organization and just working with other organizations?
Okay. We I'm familiar with using, we had a couple of different finance companies that we worked with for financing most of our projects. The cities I worked with weren't able to self-fund most of them, so we worked pretty strongly with like Ehlers Finance. I've worked with AMCO. Lots of different opportunities out there they will come in and walk you through your process. The whole thing is really pretty painless. I mean, they're the experts. If you need that kind of project, you go to the experts. I've been involved with water projects, sewer projects, street projects. We did those on a 3-year rotating basis, pretty stringently up until the last few years. Lots of things, parks improvements, swimming pool. We had a swimming pool, library. We did a big library upgrade, senior center, built a new police department. I was really involved in that whole process with the funding, the design, and the implementation and planning of all of that.
Follow-ups? Okay, Mike?
Okay, last question under the working relationships subheading. What process or processes do you follow to effectively communicate with the mayor, council, board members, and how would you keep them informed to avoid surprises?
Okay, I'm not a fan of surprises unless it's my birthday. The job, as I see it as an administrator, is to be the go-between between the council and the rest of the staff. If the council sees something that they need done, they come to obviously at the council meetings, and then the admin follows through with the rest of the staff to make sure that that's happening to the satisfaction of the council. If the staff wants something done, like I said, I believe very open door, very team, come to me, let's discuss it. Let's get everything written down specifically so that we can present a united front and all of the information that you guys would need to make an informed decision. I don't believe in bringing in just a generic idea without having done any form of research on it. My job isn't to waste your time. It's to give you all the information that you need to make an informed decision. As far as our day-to-day or weekly contact, I would love to see it be, you know what, Mondays, Councilman Ball, if you've got any issues, Monday's your day, or set up a schedule of, maybe you never call me, but maybe at 10 o'clock every Tuesday, Mr. Jensen calls and says, hey, let's chat about what's going on this week. That's the whole purpose of the admin position, in my opinion, is to keep you guys informed so that you can make your decisions like you need to.
Follow-ups on that? Okay.
All right, general question, final question, is what is the hardest thing a city administrator has to do?
I would say dealing with the different personalities, whether it be council, staff, residents, engineers, everybody literally that you come into contact with. The actual physical work, I feel like I've been doing for 22 years. I started from the ground up as a utility billing secretary and have worked my way up. I have all of my certifications for that, so I feel very confident in my ability to handle all those duties. The difficult part gets to be, you know what, everybody has a bad day, and maybe one employee is just really having an off day, and you know what, take the rest of the day then. You just have to be understanding and reasonable. I feel like when there's an issue between two employees, I found that have each one of them write down what the problem is. And once you read it, you realize they don't even have the same problem sometimes. It's not even because they refuse to talk to each other. Sometimes you're just strictly a mediator, and my personal opinion really shouldn't come into play with any of it. That's my feeling on that.
Okay.
Follow-up on that one? Any other follow-up questions?
Yes, I have one. How would you handle the interaction with the local business community? I mean, we don't have obviously big commercial developments. We have the resort and several businesses, and what would your involvement be with them?
Well, that brings up a question for me to ask you. Is there any kind of a business community monthly meeting that happens here? Like a Kiwanis or that type of thing where those people get together and actually have discussions about things?
That, to my understanding, has not gone on for quite a few years.
Okay, so that's something that could definitely happen, maybe not monthly, but quarterly, or even every 6 months or so. Because obviously in this community, you've got different things going on in the summer than you have going on in the winter. You still have probably a lot of people coming in and out, but for different reasons. It's not water sports necessarily anymore now, it's probably hockey. If I'm understanding the community correctly, there's a lot of hockey. So I guess I would say my first thing after, getting kind of settled in would be to meet with the owner of Breezy, meet with the owners of the businesses here, just introduce myself, make sure they're aware that, there's new admin, this, if you have any issues or things that you notice or things that we can do to help you as a city to help your business. Maybe they've noticed a traffic issue that quite obviously we probably don't notice because it's not in front of our business. Just different things. I think they just need to have the general knowledge that the city is willing and able to listen to things, but they also need to have actually met and have a relationship with the people to bring that to.
Any other follow-up questions anybody would like to ask? All right. Well, now it's your turn. Do you have any questions for us?
Well, I know that you're finishing up your City Hall project, and then I am also aware that there's the Bushman Road project that has been discussed at length but hasn't been implemented yet? Or is that set to start?
It's close.
It's close.
It was set to start here this spring, but we moved it back to 2026 due to right-of-way acquisitions
Okay,
and making sure that was all had to be all taken care of before we could get
Right.
ready to go. So that's where it is right now. But the plan is, if everything goes right with final approval for funding it, it would be 2026.
and will that be a bonded project, or is it going to be?
That's the piece that we still need to make the final determination on. So that's a part of this last piece, is to determine just how we'll pay for the whole piece.
Okay,
Could be a combination, it could be one way or the other. It all depends on what the council decides to do based on maybe some recommendations from staff and the finance committee, bringing that back to council to say, here's what we see the best vehicle is to get this process done and this project accomplished.
and have you had any finance firms come in and do presentations for the project or anything at this point, or?
As far as for financing, no.
Yeah, okay. So that would probably be one of the next steps then, is to contact some. Okay, anything else on the horizon? I mean, those are both big projects, but they sound like they're, 65% done and maybe 50%?
Yeah, we have a lot of projects. There's a lot of things. Right now, our park committee is looking at developing a comprehensive park plan for possible and potential expansion. We have some amenities already within our city. So we're hoping that the park committee looks at those and recognizes how do we accentuate those as amenities in our city and how can we do that. A capital improvement plan for our roads. That's a big piece right now. We're going to be looking at that coming up here probably in July, along with reevaluating our assessment policy for roads within the city because that's a part of this overall process. Continue to move forward with our fire district that we have at Pequot Lakes, and of course we've got some things that we've got going on with that as it works forward. Our sewer facility, the potential of looking at possibly an expansion to that as we get closer to where it's meeting its max as the city continues to grow. So that's something that we're starting to look at along with, sewer rates and sewer fees and things like that. So that's a part of that piece as well. A comprehensive plan. We're up to do a comprehensive plan now. So the one that we currently have is, I believe, 5 years old now, or close to it. So we're ready to do another one. So there's a lot of irons in the fire that we're going to have moving forward. Staffing, that's another big piece to this process too. We've been kind of just floating right now to try and move forward. So some things have been on hold, but the idea is to get those things moving forward. But so City Hall and Bushman Road are kind of your upfront projects. And then we have all these other ones that are kind of they're layered in there all ready to go. And am I missing any?
Ordinance update.
Yes, so planning and zoning ordinance update was set to be handled, and then our planning and zoning administrator left. So that position is one that would need to be filled and then get that process moving again. We've already contracted out with a company to help us with that, and we've got them sitting there kind of waiting in the side wings until we can get that process back going again. So that's another one. Thank you,
And I did head up the project for redoing the planning and zoning for Slayton about 12 years ago. We redid the whole ordinance, and then annually we would re-update and go through some changes and
So,
those updated. We also did a full overhaul of our city ordinances about 10 years ago, and then
Right.
made a future plan for, maintaining those changes. And
yep,
so I've pretty much been involved in a lot of that stuff.
great. Yeah, I think that covered it with the projects, unless I missed something there, but I think I laid it out. I mean, there's
years'
probably a
work.
few others I'm missing that we haven't thought about, but it's, we're in that process, we're growing, we're slowly growing, and so with that comes those things that go along with it, and so and then we're also dealing with some things that we need to get back where we can get it back up to where it needs to be, for planning purposes and that, so.
Do you feel like Breezy is growing more residentially, or are you feeling like there are maybe some businesses looking at relocating?
I would say
Is
it's
that
more
an option?
residential. Our commercial development here is very small. So for regards to like economic development from businesses coming in, we haven't had a lot of that. That doesn't mean that we're probably not open to that. It's just that we haven't had people come to us and say, hey, we're interested in moving to Breezy Point and developing a business here, and here's what we're looking at. We have the resort, and that's really kind of the overarching business you have within the city. We have other business owners as well, but, when you look at far as the one huge business we have, it's Breezy Point Resort. So it's more residential.
Okay,
People want to come here. We have an outstanding school district. People know that. They like the feel of our city. I like to joke with people, our main street is County Road 11, and people go, where's the city? Because you can't see it. So people like that idea. They like to come here. Land is, comparatively speaking to the rest of the area, still fairly affordable. And that's kind of a thing there that's out there as well. So it's residential where we're seeing our growth. Probably maybe a little slower now with what's going on in the economy and things, but it has been over the last 4 to 5 years. We've had a huge amount of residential growth here with houses going up and people moving to the community. So,
okay. Don't know if I have any more questions. I guess that pretty much,
okay.
that covered it.
All right. Well, we thank you for coming in and interviewing with us today. The plan for us is to finish up our interviews, go into a deliberation process, look at where we're at, make a decision within the next day or two. We'll work through our consultant. So one way or the other, you'll be informed as to what the decision of the council was. But thank you for taking the time to come up here and spend time with us today. And yeah,
Great.
we appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
We have a
Thank
nice
you.
community.
Oh, thank you.
All right.